I can see your face.
Hello and welcome to Believe Something Better, a video series put out by Believe Better Ministries. I guess this is our official second episode of Believe Something Better. Since the episode I put out the other night or the other day, this is whatever time it was put out, I can't remember, I'm sorry guys, was the first part of a mini-series. That mini-series was dealing with Bibles, and I in thinking about that, it's Bible study time. So, I've been studying. Let's see if I can get this without ruining my Bible in here so you can see it. This is John chapter 6, verses 16 through 21, I believe is what it is. But right there it says Jesus walks on water. Okay, this is my ESV study Bible. This is the Bible I do most of my studying in for personal awareness. I like the notes that are in there. I like the size of the text and the layout. I do my highlights in there. I don't particularly write in this Bible because it just doesn't lend itself for writing in it, guys. I'm thinking about getting a ESV journaling Bible and starting to do some writing in that and doing some more notes. I've been looking at a lot of different people's systems that they're using for that, and I think that I don't know, that might be time for another video. But let's move into what I wanted to talk about today. And I showed you the passage. The church that I'm a part of is called Willamette Bible Chapel. That's the congregation I go to, and we're in a small non-denominational congregation. I call us a post. If you've read a lot of my writings, I call us a post Plymouth Brethren congregation. So the teachings on a rotational basis, but right now we've been doing a series on the Gospel of John, and from start to finish we're going to John 1:1 all the way through John 21, and I love the Word of God. I don't say that to sound spiritual or sound pious. Or just make you feel like you're inferior if you have a hard time with certain books or something. But I love this word, and this is probably part of why I'm not going to write in this Bible. I mean, it has to be on a flat surface, whereas you get one of those hardcover journaling Bibles, and you can write because you can lay it flat in your lap and just write in it. But me and my dad, not this last Sunday, but the Sunday before, so that would be a weekend, several days ago now. So this last Sunday was August 5th. The Sunday before that would be July 29th. My dad was teaching. He taught on Jesus feeding the 5,000. But that Saturday, that would be July 28th, my dad and I were talking about John chapter 6, and we got into we talked all the way through Jesus being the bread of life, which is a really, really good set of passages if you haven't read it yet, or if you just haven't gone back to it yet. I highly suggest that you go and you read Jesus being the bread of life. It's a really, really, really good section. But before that is this little tiny vignette, and this is not exclusive to John. This is also found in Matthew and found in Mark. It's Jesus walking on water. And sometimes we forget about the situation that's going on here. I remember, and I can't be the only one, but being in Vacation Bible School or being in Sunday school and seeing on the picture of Jesus and Peter standing on the water, and it's got like the ripples, and there's Jesus standing there, and there's the boat is just sitting there, and then Peter gets out of the boat, And you sit there and with that picture in your mind, you go, how could Peter lose his faith? I mean, he's a fisherman. He's on the water all the time. If he sinks right now, swim back to the boat. He knows how to swim. He's got to. He's a fisherman. I don't know. It's not really... That picture, there's no reason why Peter shouldn't be able to get back in the boat. But that's not the real picture. And if you've gone through Matthew recently, or if you haven't, I tell you to go reread that, because it's a storm, guys. It's a storm. Let's focus back on John, though. I'm getting off topic. We'll get to the storm in just a moment. So let's set the scene. The disciples, evening is coming, so it's starting to get dark. They've just fed the 5,000. Jesus goes up on a mountain. He leaves, according to John right here. He perceived that the Jews were going to come and try to make him king forcibly, which was not going to be a good thing. And so he leaves, or he withdrew, and he leaves and he goes up to the mountain by himself. John says withdrew again to the mountain by himself. Matthew says that he sent them down and he went up to the mountain to pray after feeding the 5,000. So now evening is falling. The disciples had probably been waiting by the seashore for him to get there. We don't really want to leave without Jesus. And so they go in, but finally evening is falling. We'll see him on the other side. So they get into a boat and they start out across the sea and they're heading towards Capernaum. And it's dark now, and Jesus still hasn't come down. So they're just, they figure, well, he's probably going to get in a boat. If he doesn't get in a boat tonight, he'll follow us in the morning. But in the midst of them crossing the sea, it's like if I remember right, it's like a 7-mile sea, 7-mile lake right there. The sea starts to become rough, and the wind starts to blow. And so what that means is they've secured the sails. They're not going wind power. But they have to row. Everybody rows. It's these little boats on the sea. It's not like they were on this big ocean liner or something. It's in a little boat. So everybody's rowing. You pay for your passage by rowing. But that's worrisome. It says when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles. So they're 3 or 4 miles. And, there's a lot of contention. Is that 3 or 4 miles from when the sea starts to become rough? Is that just the fact that they've rowed 3 or 4 miles? Were they able to go wind power and then 3 or 4 miles? Because, I believe it's Mark says they're out in the middle of the sea. So 3 or 4 miles, wherever that started, half of 7 is 3.5. So that's about right. They look out and they see Jesus walking across the water towards them. And they were frightened. Now they're already scared because they're going up one wave and down and back up, and with the wind blowing against them, it's a scary situation. And the biggest thing that I notice is there's a lot of movement in their hearts for fear, but there's not a lot of courage to fight against it. I don't know if I said that right. Let me think. Let me rephrase that. There's a lot of fear in them, but first of all, they're already fighting against it. They're rowing as hard as they can. But there's not a lot of... You don't see... This episode isn't big enough to show us any hope, if you know what I mean. Like, that's what we're looking for, is the hope. All we hear about is frightened disciples. We don't see any hope. We, as Christians, look at Jesus being on the water and go, oh, well, they're saved. Like, that's the important thing here, right? They're saved. But that's not the way they took it. They took it as, Jesus had gotten on a boat behind them, and the wind hit his boat and flipped him over, and he drowned. And now he's a ghost. Like in Matthew's account, they even say, it's a ghost. So, there's a lot of fear going on right now. And that fear is understandable. I mean, they're this close to dying. I think the biggest thing I want to do, though, before we move on in the passage and get to the real crux of the matter, because we're getting there, we're getting close, is I apologize, y'all, for the road noises. They just put in a rumble strip out by our house, and I don't know if y'all don't know what that is. It's these little divots in the road that make it where you don't cross the center and get into an accident. So we're getting a little bit extra road noise right now. And the windows are open because it's hot here in Oregon. But I wanted to put it on our shoulders, and let's look at it this way. It's not a boat on the water. It's a bad day at work. It's being let go from your job. It's not being able to pay the bills. It's having student debt that mounts over top of your head. These waves, you see how they're piling higher. It's not being able to find a job in this economy. It's anguish. See how our waves are getting higher? Riding up one wave and then down the other. It's bill collectors calling on the phone. It's your card, your credit card being denied at the grocery store while you're trying to buy food for your children. These are the real storms that we have in our lives. It's struggling with our sin. It's struggling to remember that Jesus paid it all, and we don't have to struggle with sin anymore. Those are the storms that we face. In my prayer journal one time, I was praying and I said, Lord, I feel like a boat. Not in this journal, this is a newer one. Sure looks newer, right? I feel like a boat on the water without a rudder, being blown by the wind wherever it goes. I didn't realize how true that statement was at the time. But it's a good analogy for our lives, our everyday lives. So, we're in the midst of these storms. Jesus stands there and says, "It is I, do not be afraid." That's what it says next. It says, verse 20, "But he said to them, it is I, do not be afraid." And I looked through the alphabet soup. I love different translations. I mean, this one is the ESV Study Bible. It's my favorite one to see. It says ESV right there. Study Bible right there. ESV Study Bible. Got the NIV right here, NIV Study Bible. There you go, focus on it. This is the one I'm currently reading out of right now. If you watched my last video about This Is My Bible Part 1, you'll know that I'm currently reading out of this one every day. You'll see this one in an upcoming video. This is a New American Standard Bible. This is an older one. This was my papa's. He's going to replace his Bible. But in this one, I'm following in his footsteps. My papa wrote copious notes in his Bible, which is why I'm looking at getting a journaling Bible to follow in those footsteps. But this is what this section looks like in this Bible. You see that I underlined and highlighted, wrote a note right here, and this is the note. It's the note that's going that's where we're going. That's the crux of this matter. Because it is I, do not be afraid. Well, who cares about that? They already thought it was him. They just thought he was dead. But the point is getting into the language behind that statement. You know, it's always seemed like a weird statement to me. But when we get into the phrase behind it, that it is I is 3 words in English, right? In Greek, it's 2. It's ego, eimi. Ego is where we get our word ego from. Ego means I, and eimi means I am. It means am. Greek is very similar to Spanish. If you know Spanish, you know you can say yo, soy, I am, or you can just say soy, I am. In English, it would be if we could just say am. You know, we could say ego, I, eimi, am. We could just say, but instead of having to say ego, eimi, we could just say eimi. That's how their verbs work. But the importance here is that's translated I am. Later on in this very chapter where he says I am the bread of life, that's ego eimi. I am the bread of life. So why didn't they translate that it is the bread of life? Or it is I, the bread of life. Well, that doesn't make any sense. 858, a very famous passage, you know, it says, before Abraham was, I am. Before Abraham was, ego eimi. I am. I existed. I am. Before Abraham was, it is I. Why didn't they say it that way? I mean, you know, you're starting to see where I'm going with this, I think, maybe a little bit. I am the water of life, ego eimi, the water of life. I am the way, the truth, and life, ego eimi. I mean, all of these I am statements, you can collect them, and they're known as the I am statements of Jesus. I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. I am the way, the truth, and the life, ego eimi. And those statements, they could be translated according to this as it is I, the way, the truth, and the life. Or the way, the truth, and life is I, or it is I. I mean, like, it's not it, that the eimi is not it is I am. I think that's where they're going when they translate it that way, is they're saying I, ego, I, then eimi, it is. And they're putting it, reversing it, which you can do in translation, and they're doing eimi, ego, it is I, which is not correct. You can't translate eimi as it is. It's not it is. It's I am. And so I'm not saying it's a mistranslation, because all the alphabet soup just about says it is I. I mean, I looked through Bible Hub with their whole list of translations. I looked through Bible Gateway. You can click on one link and bring up a verse in all the English translations. And the majority of them, I mean, like ASV, the Revised Version of 1885, Darby translated that way. Young, in his literal translation, translated that way. The ESV, the NASB, the NIV, the NET, the ISV, I mean, just goes on and on and on. The WEB, all translated as it is I, do not be afraid. And so it's apparently a valid translation. I just think it's a poor translation. Because I think what he's saying here is another one of those I am statements. I am, do not be afraid. So let's look at it this way. You're in the midst of the storm. God steps out. next to you says, I am. Do not be afraid. It says Yahweh, do not be afraid. I am, or Lord, or Yahweh, or however you want to say it. Lord in all caps, of course. Do not be afraid. I am God. Don't be afraid. I got this. Changes the scene. Yahweh is here to protect me. And then the next statement is another one. Another key. These two final statements of this section here are the keys that we need to remember in this. The beginning metaphor of the boat on the water in the midst of the storm is easy to make sense of. I haven't been able to come up with a metaphor for seeing Jesus walking on the water towards them. I don't know, maybe you can in the comments below if you can think of one. But then he steps out and says, I am, do not be afraid. Or I've also, it could be, I exist, do not be afraid. But then the next one is, then they were glad to take him into the boat. And immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. So, to end this all, sometimes we get so frustrated in our woe is me, and we are looking for God when we're actually really doing this to God. You stay out there. Woe is me. Arm's length. Keep him at arm's length. Don't want him to actually help me. Okay, I can see you. You can see me. Everything's good. Stay over there so I can cry in my pain. If I was going to have to come up with a metaphor for the Jesus walking across the water, it's that he doesn't leave us or forsake us. And we may feel like he's not there. Oh God, why have you forsaken me? I quoted that in, I'm putting a thought together on this very subject. It's not ready yet, but I'm putting that. I quoted Psalm 22, because verse 1. Because sometimes this is how we feel. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me from the words of my groaning? So far. He's not far. He's in here. But that's how we feel sometimes. But we make ourselves feel that way. We push him aside and say, oh God, why have you forsaken me? Look how far away from me you are. And all you need to do is bring him into the boat. And so I think that's where I'm going with all of this is, first of all, he has the power. He can protect you and save you and take care of you. Second of all, let him. Bring him in the boat with you. We get so caught up, this is my Christian life. This is my work life. This is my family life. And this is my friend's life. And each one of these are in their own little box and they can't touch. Y'all see these? 1 box, 2 box, 3 box. The friends don't communicate. The coworkers don't talk to my church people. My friends don't come to church with me. No. Get rid of the boxes. Bring it all together. You're one person. You don't have time for all those boxes. Especially bring God with you. Everywhere you go. Bring him with you. Bring him in the boat. The boat doesn't sink when God is with you. There are 2 miracles of Jesus that I can remember off the top of my head. So let me just preface this statement with that right there. I'm only remembering 2 of them. him being asleep and rebuking the storm. Boat didn't sink. They said the water was coming over the side. Boat didn't sink. Climbing into the boat after he walked on the water. Boat didn't sink. You want to hold him at arm's length and not let him come into the boat? So that sums up kind of my thoughts where I'm going with my Bible study right now. I hope that edified you guys as much as it's edifying me. That's John chapter 6. I would highly advise that you guys are looking into it, reading the Word, because here at Believe Better Ministries, we're trying to help you believe something better. There's a lot of meanings for that. There could be a lot of meanings applied to that. The big one that I apply to it all the time is I want to get you past the religiosity of this world and get you into a relationship with Christ Jesus. Now, that isn't to say that a relationship with Christ Jesus isn't a religious experience. That's merely to say that the only thing that he asks of us is belief in him and following him. There's no obedience. There's no, oh, if you don't measure up, then you're going to hell, or you're going to have to go to purgatory. And I apologize to all my Catholic brothers out there and sisters out there that I may be rubbing the wrong way right now. But in all honesty, I'm sorry you're getting rubbed the wrong way, but you're a group of people that I feel need to hear this. Jesus Christ loves you for who you are. We gain all of our grace and everything through Christ Jesus, not through any work that we do, and we don't keep it through any merit that we have. So that's Believe Better Ministries. That's what Kali Tarot is all about. That's what that is all about. I want to make that clear. That's why in this first issue we published the article the majors and the minors. Okay? These are 5 major doctrines. I've had Catholic brothers that I've talked to agree with these 5 major doctrines. I've had Episcopalian brothers I've talked to. I've had Methodist. I've had Presbyterian. I've had Pentecostal. I've had non-denominational. I've had First Christian. I mean, the list just goes on. These are 5 doctrines, really, that you have to agree with to call yourself Christian. I mean, what is the Bible? Who is God? Who is Jesus? What did Jesus do? And are we saved? So that's why I published that, because it's really to bring about this mentality that, you know what, we're the same. And we can have fellowship with one another. So I hope that you guys download a copy of Kali Tarot and enjoy that. I enjoyed putting it together, so I really hope that you enjoy reading through it. Issue 2 is going to be coming out at the end of this month. Can you believe that? No, it's not. It's going to be the end of September. Whew, I scared myself that there was just a moment. July, August, September. The end of September. Okay? The end of September is our next issue going to be coming out. I scared myself. I still have to write a book review for Kali Tarot issue 2. So I'm going to jump on that, get that, knock that out of the park, and then we're going to be getting issue 2 ready to be published up there. Yeah, this is really kind of our next big phase of Believe Better Ministry. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that we're helping you to believe in something better. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and if you want more information, you can go to BelieveBetterMinistries.com. Thank you so much.